Winn Solicitors are an organisation that are based in the UK, and they've built themselves a bit of a reputation, and it's not a great one. Over the last few months, I've been doing a deep dive on them, and I've found some shocking stories from ex-employees and things that they dealt with whilst they worked at the company, as well as clients that they were meant to be helping. If you don't know, Winn Solicitors are allegedly a injuries claims company who supposedly help people who have been in some sort of injury situation. I myself have unfortunately found myself in a situation with them. If anyone doesn't know, my son was in a car accident in 2021 where Winn Solicitors reached out to me. By the way, it was a hit and run. Someone hit my mum's car that my son was in and then drove off. They deny reaching out to me. They say that I was reached out to by a injury support helpline. But see, the thing is, I've had an ex-employee reach out to me and say that at their time there, they used to have a system of contact numbers that they were told to reach out to because they might have been in an injury. Now, this is obviously an alleged statement because I cannot prove this. This is just something that someone has said to me. But given my experience with them and what this person has said, I still do believe that it was them who reached out to me. The reason they would deny reaching out to me is because it's kind of like coercing someone into opening a claim, especially if there's been a dispute between the client and the organisation. If the organisation reached out to them, then the whole deal can be struck off. My son was only 3 years old at the time. He was sat in the back seat and the car hit the back of the car on the side that he was sitting on. So it was insult to injury that this fucker then drove off without checking if anyone in the car was okay after he hit them. Anyhow, my emotions around the situations were quite high. But again, I reluctantly said that I would look into opening a claim. About a year goes by and I've had a couple phone calls with Winn Solicitors about this. And about a year in, I get a phone call from them and they tell me that for my son's claim, he would need to have a bank account in his name, which he was 3 now, almost 4 at this time. Why would he have a bank account in his name? I have a child savings account in mine, which I build money for, but it's not in his name because I didn't get my first bank account until I was 12 years old. So as his mum, I determine when my son is going to have a bank account in his name. So straight away I was like, wait, hold on. Why the fuck was I not told this at the beginning? Why are you telling me this a year after you first reached out to me? Same phone call, they also drop that any funds that my son wins from his injury claim, he can't get until he's 18 years old. Bear in mind, he was 3, almost 4. 18 means that's 14 years away. Again, why was I not given this information on the first phone call? Because this is fucking important information. And as someone who has never had any situations with an injuries claim, I wouldn't know this information. But even if I did, it is your responsibility as an organisation that's going to act on my behalf, where I'm acting on my son's behalf, for you to tell me this information. So what they failed to do was inform me of really important information at the time it should have been reported at, which is at the beginning of our conversation together. Now, realistically, one of two things happened here. After speaking to a couple professionals within the industry, they found it very weird that this information wasn't given to me on the first phone call. This is very standard procedure. If someone is going to act on someone else's behalf, especially if it's a minor, you tell the person these 2 facts. Now, the first situation that could have happened, which is what I personally thought, was that they maliciously withheld this information because they knew I would be more reluctant to open a claim. Because why am I going to put myself and my son through all of this stuff for something he's not going to receive for 15 years? The second reason, the more likely one, having spoken to people in the industry, is that Winn Solicitors could potentially be having people on phone calls and dealing with claims who have got no experience in the industry. So the person you are speaking to doesn't know to give you the information because they haven't been trained to give you the information. They are not privy to that knowledge that you would need to know that. So if the second situation is correct, that means that there are unqualified people at that organisation who are dealing with people's injuries claims. Okay, it's not a small thing. Like, these are people who have been physically injured and emotionally injured, and you've got underqualified people dealing with their claims. And this is one of the primary reasons why they might have so many negative reviews online, where honestly just people are saying that it was dealt with so poorly, they weren't given the information that they needed to be given, and it could be because of this. Now, from my experience in working in corporate organisations, when organisations hire a lot of underqualified people, it's because they can hire them at a cheaper rate. They can hire them and pay them less. Now, I've worked in media and in sales where you can kind of get away with that stuff, but we are talking about a legal service here. Why have you got underqualified people working and dealing with things that they should not be dealing with? So over this year-long period where I'd been speaking to them, they'd also been sending me links to a contract which I had not signed. So when they give me this information, I'm like, all right, I'm out. Like, drop the claim. This is very critical, important information to me, and you didn't give it to me, and I'm deeming that this is not, like, I don't want to do those two steps. I don't want to open a bank account in my son's name, and I decide that because he is my son. Now, here's the issue. They claim to have a digitally signed, undated, have you ever seen a contract that doesn't have a date on it? Contract from me on their system. And I'm confused because I'm like, well, what's this fucking contract you keep sending me via text and via email, right? That's a whole different situation that we're going to get to. On the basis of the information that they didn't give me that I think is fucking important, they had the audacity to send me an email, and it was a director, I believe, who sent me this email and stated that covering those 2 points, they didn't deem that that was important information. They, an external piece of shit company, have looked at it and gone, you as a mother do not get to say if this is important information. Now, until this point, I was cool, I was calm, I was collective. Now I'm angry. Because who the fuck are you? Were you there in the 36 hours of labour where I went through to birth that child into this world? Were you there for all of his tantrums at 2, where he was losing his shit and trying to regulate his emotions and helping him learn to deal with his emotions? Were you there to comfort him in the middle of the night when he was unwell? No. So shut the fuck up. You do not get to say what I deem as important information when it involves my child. But see, the thing is, you have to work out who you're dealing with. And this is not a normal organization. This organization has got one of the worst reputations I have ever seen.